Now, this is part two of the video, and to initially start, um, we talked about system failures and how you can back them up. System failures, how you can back them up, involves the transition from using physical hardware to back up information, single sort of areas to back up information, to I guess fragmented systems to store data, recover them, and continue to use them just in case a disaster happens or there's a short disruption. We talked about ways to recover back that information. We talked about cloud services, encryption, and safety around them. But now we can talk about the beauty of cloud-based services, the hyper connectedness that has come with cloud-based systems, the ability to have big data storage centers, data warehouses, data lakes, that are a combination of, I guess, that RAID, the separation of data being stored on different computers, and also optimizing cloud-based systems. But for a customer like Costello, BigData, it's just a way to integrate the point of sale systems to collect structured and unstructured data about the customer experience, to understand customer loyalty, to understand the social data, to also create systems and ways of customers to self-promote or to customers to promote their product, created user-generated information, be able to gather that, to be able to track and trace, I guess track is the wrong word, but to be able to trace the movement of the customers, where they are, where they're purchasing from most, and to be able to design a product best suited for the customer. So the benefits of big data are to improve the understanding of the customer, which will help us understand the trends, the peaks and troughs, improve our forecasting. We can then create targeted marketing if we know what people are really looking at in their spare time through TikTok, through Instagram, all those forms of structured and unstructured data. We can then make personalized recommendations and also be able to communicate in a more seamless and quick way, showing us to have a great relationship with our customer. And also, from all this, we can also create better computational systems that help us have, I guess, predictive decision-making capabilities, which reduce waste, increase efficiency, and in turn, improve our bottom line. Really interesting part about big data that we have to think about is that now these platforms such as Hadoop or NoSQL, which allow us to store data on more than one server, increasing agility and flexibility, an ability to also store vast amounts of different types of data, structured and non-structured data that gives us insights. All this data is also generated from our, I guess, tier one, tier two, and tier three suppliers that can be collected through the Internet of Things, through different monitoring devices about productivity, garment quality, traceability, blockchain technology, to really understand what's happening within the supply chain in terms of sustainability, ethics, productivity. All this information can be stored on these cloud-based service systems. So this data can then be aggregated, can then be sort of manipulated to make sense, to understand how a system is operating, to understand how to optimize the supply chain, to have greater supply chain visibility, and to then also forecast when issues are about to rise in the future, because computers just can process trend-based things quicker than humans can. We can start to make, I guess, data-driven procurement decisions. We can start to buy garments, or Costello can start to buy garments from sustainable suppliers. It can start to embed socially and environmentally sustainable supply chain principles into its policy and practice. It can start to see how its lower tier suppliers are operating and be able to, you know, create contracts that are created on these big platforms, based on this big data, based on these clouds, and these transparent systems, I guess, are built on the bedrock of big data systems, of the ability to exchange information at such a rapid rate and store it on such vast platforms. So those are some of the benefits of this data, of this giant data system. I think we had to take Costello and think about what we just talked about during part one and part two of these videos. We're looking at a couple of different things, right? We know that system failure prevention can minimize downtime, right, through continuous logs and backups, and it's only temporary, so we can either roll forward or roll back any transactions that are complete. Data destruction, much more impactful. Really need to start using cloud-based systems and or to proactively build them into the strategy of the company, such as Costello, because they can really hold business continuity. Big data can be used to gain much more insight on customer analytics, customer behavior, and how they're operating. Using servers such as Hadoop and NoSQL, we can store structured and non-structured data. Big data also, or cloud-based platforms allow us to have greater transparency, greater supply chain visibility, and be able to embed sustainability within our supply chain, and also to be able to have agility and competitive advantage when we need it. In conclusion, implement recovery and continuity planning, use cloud-based solutions for redundancy and compliance, apply analytics for smarter decision-making in procurement and sustainability, regular testing and audits, ensure that, I guess, you stay safe, you keep your customers safe, and business continues.